I'm sending you away, Aina. You are fat, he spat, and you have given me nothing but girls. No son, no heir. You are a curse.
Hello, besties. Welcome to Folktale Princess channel. Tell us where you're watching from in the comment section and please subscribe to our channel. Aina's heart shattered into a million pieces. The man she had loved, the man who had promised to cherish her forever, was now shaming her in front of their children and the household staff. Her body, once celebrated for its strength and ability to carry his children, was now a source of his disdain. He pointed to the door, his fingers shaking with rage. You and your daughters will leave this house. Now. Just a few years ago, life was different. Adewale was a young, ambitious man with a dream of building a tech empire. Aina was his rock, a kind and clever woman who stood by him through years of hardship. While he spent long hours building his software company, she managed their home and raised their 4 beautiful daughters, Amara, Chika, Ifeoma, and Ngozi. Each girl was a bright star, full of laughter and promise. Amara, the eldest, was a natural leader with a fierce spirit. Chika was wise beyond her years. Ifeoma had a gentle heart, and Ngozi, the youngest, was a ball of pure joy. But as Adewale's company grew, so did his pride. The wealth poured in, and with it, a new desire, a burning need for a son to inherit his vast fortune. He began to see his daughters not as blessings, but as failures. He became obsessed, consulting with fertility specialists and seeking out every possible medical solution to ensure a male heir. Aina tried to reason with him, to remind him of the love they shared and the joy their girls brought to their lives. But her words were drowned out by his greed and his growing sense of entitlement. He saw her weight as a sign of her weakness, a symbol of his frustration. And then, one day, he met a woman named Zara. She was young, slender, and promised him the son he so desperately craved. She fed his obsession, telling him that Aina was the reason for his lack of a male heir. Aina's heart had ached with a terrible premonition. She had seen the way Zara looked at Adewale with a calculating glint in her eyes. She had heard the whispers in their social circle that Zara was a woman who would do anything to get what she wanted, even if it meant using dangerous, untested treatments and backroom deals. Now, Aina was being sent away, her world collapsing around her. She gathered her daughters, their small hands clinging to her dress. With her head held high and tears streaming down her face, she walked out of the penthouse she had once called home. The heavy electronic door slid shut behind her, a final, deafening sound that sealed her fate. She had lost everything: her husband, her home, her pride. All she had left were her daughters and the clothes on their backs. As they walked down the pristine pavement, away from the life they once knew, a new thought solidified in her mind. What Adewale had called a curse, she would prove to be a blessing. Her daughters, the girls he had rejected, would not be a source of shame. They would be her strength, her purpose. She would raise them to be kind and brave, to be everything their father wasn't. Unbeknownst to Adewale, the concoction Zara had taken to get pregnant wasn't just a simple medical procedure. It was a powerful, untested brew meant to ensure a son, but at a terrible price. Just a few months after Aina and her girls were gone, the city buzzed with news. Zara was pregnant. Adewale was overjoyed, his heart filled with a triumphant glee. He had a son on the way. He had gotten what he wanted. But the socialites who had watched Aina leave with a heavy heart whispered among themselves, "He may have a son, but what good is a son without a mother's true love? What good is a son born of lies and shame?" The day Zara gave birth, a cry echoed through the luxury hospital suite, not of joy, but of a chilling, strange wail. The baby was a boy, just as Zara had promised. But as Adewale held his newborn son for the first time, he saw a vacant stare in the child's eyes. The boy was beautiful, but something was wrong. His hands twitched, and his body was limp. The doctors who examined him shook their heads, their faces grave. "He is an imbecile," one of them said. Adewale's world, so recently filled with triumph, came crashing down. His son, His heir was a child with a blank mind, unable to speak, to understand, or even to love. The treatment Zara had taken had worked, but it had also left his son with a debilitating mental handicap. He had sent his wife and daughters away for a son, and now he had won. But it was a son who could never inherit his empire, a son who would forever be a reminder of his heartlessness. He had everything he wanted, and yet he had nothing. As he looked at his vacant-eyed son, his thoughts drifted to Aina and their 4 bright-eyed girls. What had become of them? Where were they now? The cold rain fell, matching the chill in Aina's heart. She held Ngozi close, shielding her from the wind. Amara, Chika, and Ifeoma walked beside her, their small hands linked together, their faces pale. The city's bright lights blurred through Aina's tears, each one a painful memory of the home they had lost. They had nothing, not even a destination. They walked until their feet ached, until the grand glass buildings gave way to a quieter part of the city. Aina remembered a small, old house on a narrow street, a house her mother had left to her. It was a place she hadn't seen in years, a simple, forgotten corner of her past. It was their only hope. The house was tiny, with peeling paint and a rusted gate, nothing like the grand mansion they had just left. But as Aina pushed open the gate, a sense of peace, a feeling of coming home, washed over her. The girls huddled together, their eyes wide with confusion. "Is this our new home, Mama?" asked Ifeoma, her voice small. Aina knelt and hugged all 4 of them tightly. "Yes," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "This is our home. And we will be happy here. We will be stronger than ever." But being strong was harder than it sounded. The days that followed were a struggle. Aina had no job, and the little money she had saved was quickly running out. She sold her few remaining pieces of jewelry, each one a painful goodbye to a happier time. The girls, used to having everything, now learned what it meant to live with very little. One night, as Aina tucked the girls into their worn blankets, Chika, the wise one, asked a question that broke Aina's heart. "Why did Papa send us away, Mama?" Aina had no words. How could she explain such cruelty to a child? How could she tell her daughter that she was not enough? Instead, she held Chika close and rocked her gently. "Your father made a mistake," she said softly. "A very big mistake." Aina knew she had to do something. She had to build a new life for her daughters. But what? She had no fancy degrees, no experience in the world of business. All she had was her kindness and her love for her children. One morning, as she watched Amara and Ifeoma playing with old dolls, a thought came to her. Aina had always been a wonderful cook. Her jollof rice was famous among friends and family. Her stews were rich and flavorful. She had a gift for turning simple ingredients into a feast. Could she use this gift to feed her family? She started small. She used the last of her money to buy ingredients and made a large pot of her special jollof rice. Amara helped her scoop the rice into small foil packs. Chika and Ifeoma carried the food to the street corner, their little voices calling out, "Hot jollof rice for sale." The first day, they sold only a few packs. Aina's heart sank. Was this a foolish idea? Was this all a grand mistake? But then, something strange happened. People who bought her food came back the next day, and they brought their friends. They said Aina's food tasted like home, like a mother's love. Word spread. The small stall on the corner became a local secret, a place where people came not just for food, but for the warm smile and kind words of the woman who sold it. The money she earned was barely enough, but it was a start. They had food on the table. They had a roof over their heads. Meanwhile, Adewale's world was falling apart. The doctors said his son, David, would never speak. He would always need care. Adewale had a perfect heir on paper, but in reality, he had a heartbreaking, silent child. His grand plans for his son to run his company one day were gone, replaced by a deep, hollow sadness. Dara, the new wife, was no help. She was not a mother, but a woman who loved the glamour of his wealth. She grew frustrated with the needs of her son and the silence of the boy. She spent her days shopping and having parties, leaving Adewale to care for a son he didn't know how to love. He had all the money in the world, but he was more alone than ever. He would sit for hours, staring at his silent son, a heavy regret weighing on his chest. He missed Aina's calming presence. He missed his daughter's laughter. Then one day, while scrolling through his news feed, he saw a picture. A photo of a woman smiling brightly at a food stall, surrounded by her 4 daughters. The woman was Aina, and the girls looked happy, healthier than ever. The headline read, "The woman who built a community from scratches. Aina's kitchen." Adewale's stomach churned. The curse he had sent away was now a news story, a symbol of hope and strength. The girls he had rejected looked happy, and the woman he called fat looked strong and proud. He had everything he wanted, and yet he was completely miserable. He had thought Aina was nothing without him, but he was the one who was truly lost. He picked up his phone, his thumb hovering over Aina's old number. What would she say? Would she even pick up? Would she ever forgive him? The phone in Aina's hand felt heavy, like a stone. The screen showed a name she hadn't seen in years. Adewale. Her heart hammered in her chest. For a moment, she just stared at it, frozen. Her daughters were asleep in the next room, their gentle breathing the only sound. Aina thought about the hard work, the long nights, and the quiet pride that had built their new life. She remembered the day she opened her small food stall, Aina's Kitchen. It wasn't just a business. It was her and her daughter's hope, their strength. She had started with just one small cooking pot, but soon, people were lining up down the street. Her jollof rice, her stews, and her smile became famous. Soon, she had a small food truck, then a proper little restaurant with tables and chairs. The girls helped her every step of the way, learning about money, hard work, and the true meaning of family. Aina had not wanted to be famous. But a young journalist, a girl named Kemi, had loved her food and her story so much that she wrote an article about her. The headline, "The Woman Who Built a Community from Scratches, Aina's Kitchen," was now known all over the city. Aina didn't know it, but that article had landed on Adewale's phone, shaking his world. The phone rang again, pulling her from her thoughts. Should she answer? What could he possibly want? Aina's mind raced. Was he in trouble? Did he want something from her? She had nothing left to give him. She had given him everything once, and he had thrown it all away. She let the call go to voicemail. A few seconds later, a text message came through. Adewale, please, Aina. I need to see you.
I'm sorry.
I was a fool. Aina scoffed. Sorry? The word felt thin and empty. A single text message could not erase the years of pain, the nights she cried, or the fear she had felt with her 4 little girls. He was not just sorry, he was desperate. And Aina knew why. The city whispered about Zara's son, the silent boy who would never be able to run his father's empire. The next day, Adewale called again, and this time, Aina answered. Her voice was steady, calm, and cold. What do you want, Adewale? His voice on the other end was not the strong, proud voice she remembered. It was weak and broken. Aina, I saw the article. You've done so well. The girls, they look so happy. Aina felt a mix of anger and something she couldn't name. They are happy, she said.
We built this ourselves.
We don't need you. I know, he said, his voice cracking. I know. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please, Aina, I want to see you and the girls. I want to make things right. His words did not sound like a man who just wanted to make up. They sounded like a man who needed something, a man who was drowning. Aina's heart felt a pang of pity, but she pushed it down. She had to be strong for her daughters. Adewale, she said, her voice firm. That part of our lives is over. There's nothing to talk about. She hung up the phone before he could say another word. But a few minutes later, her phone buzzed with a picture message. Aina stared at the screen, her breath catching in her throat. It was a photo of a beautiful, old building. It was not a house, but a school. A famous school, one of the best in the city. The text below it read, Adewale, Aina, this is for the girls. Full scholarships for all of them. Everything paid for. Please, let me do this for them. Let me at least be their father. Asterisk, asterisk. Aina's hands trembled. The school was a dream, a place she could never afford on her own. It was a chance for her daughters to have a future even brighter than the one she had imagined. But was this a gift or a trap? Was this a genuine act of love, or was it a way for him to buy his way back into their lives? Could she trust him after everything he had done? Aina stared at the picture of the school on her phone. The building was grand and beautiful, with green fields and big windows. It was a place for kings and queens, a place where dreams were born. It was a chance she had only ever dreamed of for her daughters. But the man offering it was a king who had thrown his own family out into the rain. She looked at her daughters. Amara was reading a book, her brow furrowed in deep thought. Chico was helping Ifioma with her homework, her voice patient and kind. Ngozi was drawing a picture of their little restaurant, a big smile on her face. They were happy. They had everything they needed. So, why did this offer feel so important? Aina knew Adewale was not just being kind. There was a reason for this sudden change of heart. He had rejected his own children. Why would he want to help them now? She had to find out the truth. The next day, Aina met Adewale at a quiet cafe. He looked different. His eyes were tired, his shoulders slumped. The proud, angry man she knew was gone. In his place was a man who looked broken. He didn't speak right away. He just looked at her, and in his eyes, Aina saw the deep sadness he felt. She also saw something else, a cold, hard kind of shame. "Aina," he began, his voice barely a whisper. "I know you have every right to hate me. I was a monster. I was blinded by my pride. I wanted a son, a boy to carry on my name, but I lost something far more precious." He told her about his son, David. He told her about the doctors, the silent stairs, and the empty life in his big mansion. He told her about Zara, who was rarely home, more interested in parties and shopping than in her own child. "He's a constant reminder of my foolishness," Adewale said, tears welling up in his eyes. "I got what I wanted, but it's a curse. I have a son, but I have no heir. He will never know my business. He will never love me back. I was so busy chasing something I didn't have that I threw away the real treasures in my life. You and the girls." Aina listened, her own heart hurting. She had never wished him ill, and seeing him like this, so full of pain, was difficult. She also saw a chance to use his mistake to give her daughters the future they deserved. "Why the scholarships, Adewale?" she asked, her voice soft but firm. "Is this just a way to buy your way back into their lives?" Adewale looked away. He shifted in his seat, a clear sign that he was hiding something. He took a deep breath. "There's more, Aina. Dara, she is leaving. She has taken all the money she can and has gone to another country. She wants nothing to do with David or me. My company is in trouble. My business partners are threatening to take over. I have lost my focus. I have no one to trust." Aina's mind raced. So this was it. This was the real reason. He wasn't just looking for forgiveness. He was looking for help. He wanted Aina to come back and fix his broken life. The pride and the greed that had made him send her away were now going to destroy him. But then he said something that shocked her to her core. "Aina, the truth is, I never sold the mansion. It's still there, empty. I thought maybe you and the girls could come back. Not as my wife, not as a woman I rejected, but as the owner. The company is failing, and without a strong leader, it will be lost forever. I want to give it all to Amara, to our daughters. I made a will giving them everything, but they must take over. It's the only way to save it." Aina was speechless. Her husband had a plan that would give her daughters everything he had worked for, but a plan that was built on a terrible, terrible lie. "Adewale," she whispered, her voice trembling. "What about Zara? The doctors? The potion she took, you said it was to get pregnant. What if she took it to make him an imbecile? What if she wanted you to have a son you could not trust to save your company?" Based on your request, I will revise Chapter 5 to include an advice section for women. The advice will emphasize the importance of hard work and confidence, drawing from Aina's experiences. It will also incorporate the detail about her undergoing a gastric procedure to feel confident in her body again. Aina stared at Adewale, the question hanging in the air. The cafe fell silent. Adewale's face went white. The thought had never crossed his mind. He had been so focused on his own greed and his desire for a son that he never saw the trap Zara had set. The potion she had taken wasn't just to get pregnant. It was to give him a son who could never lead his company. It was to ruin him. He had been fooled, a victim of his own hunger for power. The very thing he had pushed Aina away for was now going to destroy him. "You're right," Adewale whispered, the truth a heavy stone in his throat. She knew. She knew David would be an imbecile. She planned it. She wanted to take everything from me. My wealth, my company, everything. He had sacrificed his family for a future that was already broken. The weight of his mistakes crashed down on him. He had been so blind, so foolish. He looked at Aina, the woman he had called a curse. She was the one who had seen Zara for who she was, the one who had warned him. She was the one who was truly wise. "Aina," he said, his voice pleading, "please save them. The company. It's for the girls. It's their birthright. I'm putting it all in their names. But they need a leader. They need you to guide them." Aina looked at him, and she saw not a rich man, but a broken one. She saw the pain he had caused and the pain he was now feeling. She didn't feel hatred anymore, just a deep sadness for a man who had lost his way. She took a deep breath. "I will not save you, Adewale. You have to face the consequences of your own actions. But I will do it for the girls. They deserve to have everything you promised them." Aina returned home and gathered her daughters. She sat them down and told them the whole story, from the moment their father sent them away to his offer to give them his company. "It will be hard work," she told them. "Harder than anything you have ever done. It will be a fight to save this company from people who want to take it. But it is yours. It is what you deserve. Your father chose a curse over you, and now you have the chance to turn his curse into a blessing." Amara, the oldest, spoke first. Her eyes, so much like her mother's, were filled with determination. "Mama, we will do it. We will save Papa's company, but we will run it with kindness. We will show them that a family of women can be stronger than any man." And so, Aina and her 4 daughters, the 5 women Adewale had called a curse, went back to the mansion. But this time, they came as its new owners. They met with Adewale's lawyers, his business partners, and his accountants. The men laughed when they saw Aina, the once fat woman, now standing tall and strong. But their laughter soon faded. Aina was not a fool. She had built her own business from nothing. She knew how to work hard. She knew how to be kind and fair. She put Amara, her clever and brave daughter, in charge. She made Chika her financial advisor. Ifeoma handled the people, and Ngozi, with her bright smile and joy, became the face of the company. The company was on the brink of ruin, but Aina and her daughters worked tirelessly. They fixed broken contracts, made new deals, and brought a new kind of honesty and kindness to the business. The workers who had been treated badly by Adewale now felt respected and seen. They worked harder than ever. The news of the 5 women saving the company became a legend. People called them the 5 Queens. Aina was not a wife anymore, but a matriarch, a leader. And the 4 girls were not a curse, but the brilliant and kind leaders of a new generation. Adewale lived in the mansion, a ghost in his own home. He watched his daughters grow up, strong and wise. He saw Aina, the woman he called fat, running meetings, making deals, and being a mother. He had his son, David, a constant reminder of his mistakes. But he had lost his daughters, the true treasures. He had everything and nothing. He had traded a life of true love for a life of empty wealth. He had sent away a blessing and kept a curse. And in the end, it was the fat woman and her 4 daughters who were remembered as the true treasures, the ones who had turned a family's ruin into a new beginning. Aina's journey holds a powerful lesson for every woman. Do not become lazy, and do not put your entire life in the hands of a man, no matter how much you love him or how wealthy he is. Aina had to rebuild her life from zero, starting with a simple cooking pot. That hard work, that hustle, is what saved her and her daughters. It is what gave them their strength and their pride. Even after her success, Aina realized that her body was a source of pain and insecurity because of the way Adewale had shamed her. She chose to take control of her health and her confidence. After the company was stable, she quietly underwent a gastric bypass procedure, not for any man, but for herself. It wasn't about losing weight to please Adewale, it was about reclaiming her body and her confidence. So, women, remember this. Your worth is not tied to a man, your appearance, or your circumstances. Build your own skills, have your own dreams, and work to make them come true. Be like Aina, strong, independent, and always in control of your own destiny. Never lose your confidence, and if you do, find a way to get it back, for yourself and for those who love you. This is the end of our story. Please give this video a thumbs up, comment what you learned in the comment section, and please subscribe to the channel. See you in our next one.